everyone, welcome to my channel, Bow and Arrow Tarot. If you're new to my channel and you just came across it on your feed, thank you so much for checking it out. We're going to get right into it. This is the mid-December love check-in for Sagittarius. Alright, so if you are new to my channel, I am a Sagittarius myself with Sun. I have Sun, Mercury, Jupiter, and Uranus in Sagittarius. Moon in Leo, Taurus rising. Just to give you a sense of who I am. And of course, I love to do these Sagittarius readings then, because they definitely resonate with me. But I mentioned the other placements because you should always check out your other placements to see what readings may be more in line for you, or what readings may resonate with you more. Your rising sign reading may resonate with you more, or your Mars, right? Your Venus placement. So check it out. And if you don't know how to get your own natal chart, you can go online for free and get it. There are plenty of websites that will calculate your houses and your chart for you. So please do look into that. All right, my lovely Sagittarius, let's get right into it. We're going to pull out two cards for your mid-December, calling in your soulmate. Now, this card came out for your weekly as well. And if you are new to my channel, and even if you're a regular, do check out your weekly reading for this week. And honeymoon. Nice, Sagittarius. Very, very nice energy. So, but we won't know more about that until we get into your spread. So now we're going to go right into your simplified Celtic cross spread. And just to remember that this is just one love check-in, right? This may only resonate with one Sagittarius out there, right? So just take what applies to you. Not all of the reading may apply to you. There may only be facets of it, So just take what resonates with you, and if it doesn't apply, let it fly. All right? All right, my darling. So let's get right into it, Sagittarius, for this mid-December 2019 period before we round this year off. We have the devil. All right. Covered by the moon. All right. All right, Sagittarius. Can you handle it? I know I can, so let's do it, right? Empress. Straight up. And underneath, we have the Page of Swords. All right, let's begin to move this all up a little bit. I'm going to do some clarifiers from the Thoth deck, of course, but interesting reading, Sagittarius. Right away, there's your 1111, and there's your 5 of Wands. At the bottom, we have 7 of Wands. Right? David and Goliath. Right? 7 of Wands coming up with so many creative solutions to all these obstacles, coming into your way, standing your ground. 7 is the number for dreams and aspirations. 7 of Wands absolutely talks about doing everything you, and there's your 10 of Cups, everything you can to stand your grounds, stand up for what you believe in, and to make sure that your dreams are manifested regardless of how hard you have to fight, right? Now, do remember, wands are not swords. So when we're talking about fighting, we're talking about coming up with creative solutions to problems, right? So battling these obstacles in a creative way. Wow, Sagittarius, devil covered by the moon. Well, this is a test, right? You are going through a major testing phase right now, Sagittarius. Devil just came out for Scorpio as well. One of the cards that, very rarely comes out in the love reading for me, but it does for my readings. The devil talks about codependency, right? Toxicity, instant gratification, being a slave to your passions, a slave to sort of your desires, right? You can see the two people are sort of chained to the altar. But this is not a Christian Judeo concept of the devil as we normally would think of it. The devil here absolutely represents our creative desires, right? Devil card is associated with Capricorn, and the moon, of course, is associated with Pisces, but that's neither here nor there. And I'm not going to bother trying to say that you may be dealing with a Capricorn or a Pisces, because that's just ridiculous. These cards are much deeper than any sun sign, and certainly the people you have in your life are more than their sun sign. So don't be swayed by that when you hear that in readings. The devil is more than anything associated with a high level of creativity. If we think about the devil representing our second chakra, right? The chakra that rests in the sacral bowl, where our sexual desires come from, our sensual desires, our desire to express ourselves creatively. The most ultimate expression of that is creating a baby, right? How do we do that? We do that through sex. Right? We have sex. We desire people. Right? When this desire is coupled with love, ideally, we copulate, we come together, and we create life. And this is why the devil is more associated with the highest form of creation than anything. But what happens when we have this high level of creativity and it is stifled, or we don't have a proper outlet for it, when we use our creativity for to achieve things that are not tied to a spiritual goal or to an emotional higher purpose, this is when we fall into instant gratification for those desires, and this is when we fall into addictions. This is when we fall into codependency. This is when we fall into dysfunction. And this is the true nature of the devil, being chained to sort of a dysfunctional codependent situation for lack of a better sort of form of creative expression, right? And so here we have this. We have a battle on the way, right? Because 5 is the number for power struggle. First 5 is the Hierophant. And there is no power struggle because we completely commit ourselves to our higher spiritual place. Here we have the internal battle, you know? And it is an internal battle. Any kind of addiction feels like an internal battle, doesn't it? Because you truly don't want it. You want something more, but yet you are battling the desire to have this instant gratification. And so in a lot of ways, the devil energy comes into our lives when we are being sort of, a lot of ways when we are being tested, but in a lot of ways when we find ourselves sort of just unable to express ourselves the way we truly want to, right? So we're falling into these negative behaviors. The moon is indeed absolutely about testing. And so this is interesting that this will come out over the devil, because it seems to be that right now, with regard to your love situation, Sagittarius, you are being tested in a lot of ways. You don't know everything that's happening right now. The moon, the reason why the moon is a testing phase is also because a lot of times, just as you see the moon is interpreted oftentimes as not knowing the whole picture, not seeing with full clarity. Yes, we know that this is the case, but why do we not see the whole picture? Because we are being tested. We are being tested on the strength and the resolve that we have accumulated up until now, and now we're being asked to put that in practice. And just like any test, you aren't given the answers. You aren't given all of the information. That's what a test is. To see whether or not you can go through this valley of darkness, as it were. If you can go through this valley where only the moon is shining, and so therefore you're only seeing bits and pieces, do you still have the strength and the courage and the resolve to stick to your moral center, to stick to your spiritual center, your emotional center, and to still carry on through with the skills and the strength that you've accumulated, regardless of not necessarily always knowing the outcome, right? And this is why it is a testing phase, and this is why the moon is associated with not readily seeing everything. Of course, the next card is 19, and it's the sun. And why does the sun come out after the moon? Because once we go through this period of testing, we oftentimes come right out of this valley of darkness into the sunlight, which provides clarity. And what we find oftentimes is that there was nothing to fear. It was just a journey. It was just a test. And by engaging in the test in and of itself, you make your way through and you come out. And so this is a really big testing phase right now for a lot of you Sagittarius in terms of your love life. Are you willing to carry on engaging in these dysfunctional relationships, these toxic relationships, instant gratification? I know for Sagittarius, a lot of times you guys are definitely one of these signs that you can, you enjoy sex, you enjoy relationships, you enjoy the spice of life. And Sagittarius being such a fire sign, we do love to play with fire, don't we? But in this case, we're talking about really sort of not sort of engaging in the same sort of cyclical dynamic, right? The same sort of like behavior patterns. And this is a period what's happening right now for you. Now, Empress and Page of Swords. Empress is your conscious energy. So for you right now, a lot of you Sagittarius are all about you, nurturing you, being the best you. The Empress comes in at a time when it's interesting because the devil being such a high card for your creative expression, so is the Empress. But the Empress is the essence in a lot of ways of that feminine creativity, the need to fertilize yourself to remain creative, the need to nurture yourself to remain creative. The desire to show the beauty we have within us and for that to be mirrored on the outside in our environment. This is also the essence of the Empress, right? We're talking about a time right now where it's all about you really taking your energy and sort of pouring it back into yourself, you know? Taking care of your body, taking care of your mind, taking care of your emotions, right? Taking care of yourself in that very feminine way. Now, you know my readings are not gender specific or sexual orientation specific. Empress comes into men's lives just as much as it comes into women's lives because all of us, we have to reconcile the masculine and feminine aspects within us. But right now for you Sagittarius, a lot of you right now, it's all about that feminine nurturing that you're truly desiring. And I think for a lot of you, you've probably come out of a period of toxicity or dysfunctional relationships where you've decided, yeah, enough is enough, time to give myself this energy. In the back of your mind, you have a very, very complementary energy, which is Page of Swords. The Page of Swords is all about fighting off negative thought, you know, and fighting off fear. You know, pages are all about, you know, with the pages, we see the first rung of the court card, right? The court cards, you know, page, knight, queen, king, right? Pages are always associated with earth. And here we have the earthy aspect of air, right? And so in this way, swords are air. So with the earth aspect of air, we're talking about the grounding of our mental, the grounding of our egos, right? Being very practical in our thoughts and in the way we see ourselves, and not allowing, and certainly with pages being the first rung of the court card, all the pages in some way or another represent overcoming fear. Here we talk about overcoming fears that we have in the mental, fears of failure, self-doubt, the fear of what people may think of you, right? Also, the fears that people may try to put on you when they tell you, you can't do it, Sagittarius. You know, how are you going to accomplish that? You can't. You know what I mean? This self-doubt that people try to maybe instill in you with their own fears and their own self-doubt. Page of Swords cuts that away, fights completely against that, and doesn't tolerate any of that coming into its psyche or its mental. Very strong energy, Sagittarius. Very powerful energy. And I think that a lot of you are, although you're in the middle of this process, you are absolutely going through it. You're absolutely sort of progressing through it. You are absolutely walking in this valley of darkness right now, a lot of you. And I hope that this reading gives you some support and some sort of confidence, because I feel very strongly that as you are in the middle of this valley right now, this testing time, this difficult time, just keep going. Keep going, because the sun will come out for you. Now, the Four of Wands and the Five of Wands is up. As energy coming in, the energy you come into this period with, and the energy sort of that meets you at the end, right? So you started this period out perhaps with calling in a soulmate. There may be a new relationship in your recent past that started off as a true sort of soulmate connection, 11-11 connection. This is generally a new sort of, either a new relationship or a relationship that is taking a new path, because Four of Wands is actually Venus and Aries energy. So Aries being the new, the beginner, the progenitor, and then Venus being the goddess of beauty and love. So we're talking about oftentimes a new relationship, a new beautiful relationship, strong relationship. 4 is the number for stability. So it's the stability and the mutual respect and love that make this such a good sort of foundation for a twin flame journey. 1111 only talks about the mirroring of the two wands. It has nothing to do with the number 11. And of course, this is a 4 of wands, not an 11 of wands. We don't have an 11 card in any of the tarot. But nevertheless, this is a strong connection that started. And I think for some of you Sagittarius, the reason why this is a testing phase for you right now is because for some of you, you started in this relationship perhaps recently, and it didn't work out. You know, perhaps it didn't work out. Perhaps it didn't go exactly the way you had planned. It started off strong. It started off with all the makings of a twin flame journey, but somewhere along the line, something went wrong. Right. I'm going to say for some of you, something may have gone wrong. And the only reason I say that is because you're coming out of this with a 5 of wands, and 5 of wands is competition and power struggle. Remember I said earlier, the 5 is power struggle. The devil is the power struggle we have inside of us when we struggle between our spiritual center and our instant gratification and desire to satisfy our passions. 5 is another power struggle, but with 5 of wands, we have a competitiveness. The nature of this power struggle is everyone is competing to be on top. Everyone's competing to be the best, to be the one chosen. And it's quite interesting. I could almost say that for some of you, even if this relationship is still carrying on, there seems to be a period. Now you're coming in towards the end of the month. You come into this month with this middle month, because it's mid-month love check-in. You come out towards the end of the month, there's a lot of competition around you. Now, it could very well be that either you are in competition with someone for your love, or you've got a lot of people around you competing for your love, competing for your affections. Could very well be, I'm going to say for some of you Sagittarius, this new relationship has not formulated yet. You're calling it in, right? You're calling in your soulmate. Because I have a really strong feeling that this is for a Sagittarius that isn't necessarily together with someone right now. But yes, you're calling in a soulmate. You may be doing a lot of dating, and you may have dated several people, or you may have a few different relationships, but they're not cemented. Because it feels to me, more than anything, it feels like this 5 of wands are many suitors around you competing to be this connection for you. And this is why this whole period for you has become a real testing phase, because the test is for you to discern who you really truly want, or who you deserve, right? What is a good soulmate connection for you? And this is why I'm saying this feels very strongly like a test, and a test over sort of your desire for instant gratification. Could very well be that you've had different people that you may have been dealing with. And the test is because, you may have been engaging in this way of dating or interacting with people, but of course it's not happy, and of course it becomes quite toxic, right? And so how do you reconcile this? And I think this is very much test, how are you going to choose which person you desire, or, are you going to engage in this kind of toxic power struggle to find the one for you, right? This is all a very personal test, and you're going to know for yourself what the lesson or what the test is for you. But it definitely feels as though for me, it definitely feels as though for a lot of you Sagittarius, you're calling in your soulmate, but you're being given so many different choices right now of possible suitors. And really, it's all about you discerning what is a good suitor for you, or what is a good connection for you, if any of them are. You may even decide that, none of the people you've been dealing with are really the right soulmate for you, right? But it's all about really sort of discerning the situation and finding out, what is actually healthy for you. Because right now, you're really all about sort of nurturing yourself and being the best Sagittarian you can be. You're very creative right now. I'm going to say for some of you, you're absolutely probably outside of your love life. You're probably involved in some very big creative projects, maybe at work or personally. So you're doing well on your own, but it's like this very difficult period of deciding, well, exactly what kind of person do I want? What kind of person do I want for a soulmate? I'm calling it in, but you know, the people that I do have around me right now, or the possible selection that I have to choose from, I don't know if any of them are right for me, right? I don't know if any of them, you know, do I want somebody who even engages in this kind of behavior, right? And so in a lot of ways, this is going to be a very personal sort of decision for you, of course, as it would be for anyone. But for me, I feel very strongly like it's the process by which you are deciding who to be with that is being tested, right? Are you truly being discerning? Are you truly, you know, or are you just kind of, you know, are you just choosing to be with the easiest one, right? Because devil energy definitely talks about being with instant gratification, taking the easy route, right? You know, and a lot of times, certainly if you're in a situation where people are competing for your affections, that may be giving you a little bit of a high, but you got to think to yourself, is any of that sort of the type of characteristic that you want to have in a soulmate connection or a love connection? Because this power struggle is not healthy. You know, this is a very egocentric power struggle here. You know, it's not like people are fighting sort of fairly, you know. I mean, you know, competing in any way for somebody's affections is already sort of a very base kind of way of behaving. So, you know, again, I feel like very much for you, Sagittarius, right now, it's all about deciding, maybe changing the way you pick your lovers, or changing the way you pick the type of people you're dating, right? You know, let's pull some clarifiers. Page of Swords also talks about understanding and clarity coming in, a new way of looking at things. And again, this really speaks to this. You know, it could very well be that you're finding that you're leveling up, and that, you know, there are certain types of individuals that you just don't want to deal with anymore at all, period. Certain types of, you know, personality traits or characteristics that maybe before you've gone for, but you're realizing that those type of people are the type of people that engage in these kind of power struggles, and not any of them are the type that you want. Look at this, Magician's come out. Not any of them are the type that you want, you know. All right. Let's get your clarifiers out. Interesting that the Magician came out, the top Magician. All right, we have, there you are, Queen of Swords, Eight of Pentacles. There's your Sun. See what I said? There's your clarifier. And Ace of Cups. All right. Bottom of the deck, we have Six of Cups. So in the soft deck, the Six of Cups talks about pleasure in our relationships, having harmony in our relationships, right? Let me move this over here, actually. There we have. All right, so, wow. I'm glad the Sun came out. Now, Queen of Swords, Empress, yes, this is very much about you, Sagittarius, and your decision, and really deciding the type of people you want in your life, because the Queen of Swords is, look at her. She has worked so hard to pull away that mask, the role that she has played. You know, I think for a lot of you Sagittarius, you haven't been completely true to who you are. You've made compromises to be with certain types of people that have not been good for you. And now that you're realizing with this Empress energy that it's all about you really keeping your own strength up, your own creativity up, fertilizing yourself and your own heart, you know, taking care of yourself, nurturing yourself. You know, you are the most important person, and therefore who you truly are is the most important person to show to people, and not to compromise yourself in any way. The Queen has worked so hard. Look how exhausted she is from pulling away that mask, right? The sword hangs by her side. She holds on to the mask, and you can see how she has emerged from the clouds into clarity. She sees so much clearly now that she is no longer having to sort of work to pretend to play a role, to be somebody else's sort of lover version of what they want, rather than choosing what really makes you happy, okay? And so the other thing, of course, is that the Queen of Swords doesn't tolerate anyone around her who hasn't done the same work. She will not tolerate people being around her who are phony or wear a false mask. All right, and so this is what you're learning, and this is the understanding that you're coming to, and this is very much the lesson here. Can you maintain this despite the need for perhaps physical interaction, or despite the fact that you may desire intimacy, or you may desire the attention of a lover, but can you maintain this role? Can you maintain this honesty with yourself, and this need to make sure that you are fully nurtured and nourished for yourself? Can you maintain that instead of going for that instant gratification, which only ever just sort of takes that strength out, you know, sort of dilutes who you are by quickly going for instant gratification here with someone who isn't really up to snuff, someone who isn't really up to your standard. You know what I mean? Now we go in the unconscious, Page of Swords and Eight of Pentacles. So this is what I was saying earlier. Some of you, and on the side, outside of your life, you are accomplishing great things, right? Eight of Pentacles talks about prudence and discipline, putting work in, right? Very, very strong Sun and Virgo energy, okay? And this is disciplining yourself and really sort of getting on with the things that you need to get on with in your life, perhaps mastering whatever trade or creative project that you're on. And so right now in the back of your head, a lot of you aren't busy with love at all. You're not, you know, you're calling in a soulmate, but you're not really, you're also in the back of your mind, you're more busy also, some of you, with achieving this great project, certainly with the Page of Swords there. Remember I said the Page of Swords talks about not listening to negative doubt, negative thought, or negative sort of self-doubt, right? Or negative opinions from others, or people telling you you can't do it. So some of you are definitely spending a lot of your energy also in the back, behind the scenes in your life, accomplishing something very great. And it's requiring a lot of discipline. And I think this discipline and this work that you're putting into this part of your life is really informing your love life as well, because you're realizing that you have so much to offer a love connection. You are working so hard to manifest a great thing in your life, a great objective, maybe in your career, or, you know, to raise your abundance, certainly with this Pentacles. And so you're also kind of allowing this high level of standard to kind of come into your love life as well. It's time that you raise your standard in your love life also. I often say this to people when I'm doing private readings, a lot of very successful people who have difficulty in their love life, and I tell them, apply the same standard and work ethic you have to your work or your career, your creative endeavors as you do to your love life. You have a certain standard. This is what's made you successful. You should also have a certain standard in your love life and in your love connections. And this is really what I'm talking about earlier with this sort of test, right? It's a test of raising your standard. You're calling in your soulmate, but raise the standard of what type of person fulfills the role of your soulmate. All right. There comes the Sun coming out over a Four of Wands. Yes, you are calling in a love connection, a new love connection, and clarity does arrive with this. I believe that this is just to let you know that this is all about the clarity that you have within yourself now coming into your love relationships. I think most recently this is the beginning, and this is why I've said it feels like you took the step to be on the road, right? You took the test. You're in the middle of the test because you decided before, the clarity has come in, and you've decided before to already lift up your standard for what you consider to be a true love connection. Do you see what I mean? And so that was the first step of the test. Right, to require more, right? And so by requiring more, and with this clarity that came in, you know, you say to yourself, well, listen, I'm calling in my soulmate, but you know what? I realize that I need to have a higher standard. I have so much to give. I realize I have a lot to give, and I realize that I need to stop sort of, you know, engaging with people for instant gratification and engaging with people who really sort of live up to that standard. That's the first step. Now the test is in. You're in the test, and the testing phase could very well be, and like I said, it feels strongly like the actual test itself is this, you know, these numerous suitors coming into your life who are competing for your attention. But it isn't the fact that they're competing for your attention that should catch your eye. It is this new desire for a higher level of engagement, a desire to make sure you are with people who are very true to themselves, that you really are seeking in this new love connection and calling in this soulmate. All right. Ace of Cups has come out over that Five of Wands because I believe very much this is definitely confirmation that this is all about a new love coming in. This is all about choosing the right person for a new love connection and ensuring that this person that you choose, the person that you allow this fountain of love, this Ace of Cups, this new cup to happen with, is someone that fits in to your true idea for a soulmate. And not just someone who has sort of beaten everybody else, right? Or someone who has, you know, engaged in this sort of power dynamic, this struggle, you know. Five of Wands is really sort of, you know, people who engage in the Five of Wands type of energy, you know, are you know, there's a dysfunction there, you know, because love is not about beating out the next guy, you know. Either somebody loves you or they don't, you know. You shouldn't have to beat somebody else to win the affections. You know, this is not ancient England where, you know, it's like we're dueling for the queen's hand, right? So there's a level of dysfunction and a little bit of base kind of energy here with anybody who engages in this type of activity or behavior just to catch the eye of someone else. You know, I've always said I would never compete with another woman for a man. I would never compete with someone else for the affection of someone. Either they love you or they don't love you. But the competition is what lowers you. And so this Ace of Cups is coming in to clarify, you know, what do you see for your new love connection? Do you see it coming out of this sort of gaggle of very immature suitors? Or do you see someone completely different coming out? Which I believe will come with this magician. I believe your true suitor will be very much a magician and someone who is not at all even part of this group or part of this sort of power struggle here. You know, it could very well be that you're coming towards this end of this month, Sagittarius, and you may need to throw out your whole black book. You know, this feels very much like your black book, you know, various suitors that you've entertained or you allowed in. Almost feels like burn the black book and start the new year off with a higher level of engagement, with a higher requirement, you know, a higher standard, so that your magician can come in. Because honestly, this is what you want. All right? This is what you want. You know, you don't want this. Which idiot out of the 5 idiots is the best idiot? You don't want this. What we want is we want the magician. We want the person who eclipses all 5 of these individuals, right? Who eclipses them in such a radiant way that this real love comes in with a real suitor who deserves you, who truly deserves you, right? And who you have a harmonious connection with that 6 of Cups. Harmonious. All right? This is your reading. I'm going to call it, Sagittarius. It was a strong one. Please accept with love because, Saggy, you guys are my sisters and brothers. And everything that I've said, I've definitely dealt with before in my life. You have something strong coming into you this year, Sagittarius. All of your readings have been geared towards this. And it's interesting because every single one of your love readings have had an element of personal sort of ambition and success inherent in them. Here with this 8 of Pentacles. The only pentacle in the entire reading, and it is one of the best pentacles we have in the suit for achieving your dreams through hard work. Very, very strong. All right, if you enjoyed this, please like, subscribe, and share. Don't forget to leave me comments. If you want to check out your December love reading or your 2020 outlook, your 2020 love outlook, all of that should be in the description. I will also link my 11/11 card intro video in the description as well. But for right now, Sagittarius, have a wonderful, wonderful rest of December. And I shall see you in January 2020 for your next month's love outlook. Bye-bye now.